Welcome, I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo story. Our big focus today is on Jayalalithaa. It's a story that needed a lot more media debate than it's got, at least in the north of India, especially after a probe panel has indicted Sasikala, Jayalalitha's closest aide, over the years. The media has been quite critical of this probe panel. They're questioning what is the basis with which this panel actually indicts Sasikala. But in Tamil Nadu, there are now demands to criminally investigate the allegations that have been made, among them the suggestion that medical attention, certain medical procedures were denied to Jayalalithaa, that Sasikala was interfering with the line of treatment. And there is, of course, whispered allusions to the fact that not all was well between Jayalalithaa and Sasikala. Now, it's important to underline at this point that the medical panel, the board of All India Medical Institute doctors that were also involved in this, have disagreed and not found anything amiss in the line of medical treatment. But the voluminous report has been handed over actually many weeks ago to the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, MK Stalin, and now it has been made public earlier this week in the Assembly. Will Sasikala be prosecuted? Is this more about politics than actually about how Jayalalithaa died? Lots to unpack here, and let's introduce straight away our guest on the program today. Joining us from Chennai today is Shabbir Ahmed. He's a senior editor with the News Minute. Good to see you, Shabbir. Also joining us is Sumanth, Raman, well-known political analyst and writer. Always good to see you, Sumanth. Political analyst Anurag Naidu is with us as well. And also joining us from the DMK, its spokesperson and leader, is Saravanan. Good to see all of you. And I must actually start with you, Mr. Saravanan, because the law minister of your government has actually suggested that MLAs of your party, leaders of your party, are clamoring for a further criminal investigation. But you've seen the criticism of the report. You've seen the criticism being that there is no basis right now to actually suggest that Sasikala in some ways is responsible for Jayalalitha's death. Why is your party taking the position it has? And what is your main charge at this point basis this report? Give me a second. I'll just unmute you. Sir, can you unmute yourself? I think you're muted at your end.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. See, if we look at the way the government handled itself and the senior ADMK leaders handled themselves during the time when Jayalalithaa was inside the hospital, it was pathetic. There was no disclosure. Nobody knew exactly what happened. And our great leader, Dr. Kalaignar, wanted a photograph of Selvi J Jayalalithaa in the hospital to be released. And he was ridiculed. He said, how can they were saying that, well, how can you ask the photograph of a female leader? Is this even civil? Is what the allegations were. But look where we are now. The factions within the ADMK is releasing videos, gross videos of Selvi J Jayalalithaa. So if this situation has come to this level, it is the ADMK which has to be blamed. Their leaders who were clamoring for power, they are the ones who have to be blamed. If in those times, if you look at how the information was disseminated, the CMO of Apollo hospitals will sign the medical bulletins. We don't know who the CMO is, whether he was the one who was treating Selvi J Jayalalithaa or whether he was just getting instructions from doctors who were treating Selvi J Jayalalithaa. This is how pathetic. This is not the first time such kind of the chief minister or a tall leader was getting treated in the hospital when they were in power. Earlier, we had the example of Mr. M.G. Ramachandran. The state government released, the health secretary released the bulletin. The ministers were there giving exactly positive, if not positive, correct data. There was disclosure at all levels. But here we had the joke of the spokespersons coming out and saying that Selvi J Jayalalithaa was eating idli and all other things. They spoiled whatever said and done. She was a tall leader. Whatever little.
But what is your central point? What do you believe basis this report that Sasikala was primarily guilty of? Because I've gone through the report and the report says Sasikala had access was the only person who had access to Jayalalitha's room. Sasikala, somehow prevented an angioplasty from taking place or a cardiothoracic surgery. But the point is that in a situation where someone is critically ill, many decisions are taken. There's a to and fro, discussion among doctors. What is the
Yes.
precise allegation that you're leveling at this point, Mr. Saravanan?
See, that's what it's not us who are making any allegations. See, the report, that there is a report, there's an investigation, a commission which was constituted by the ADMK government itself, and it has not only indicted Sasikala, it has indicted a lot of others also, the health minister, the then health secretary, and a lot of others. I think they should explain themselves what has happened, and the government will take a call after consulting the legal experts and how to go forward on this. There is a clear whether what is the kind of basis, what is the kind of evidence the inquiry commission has is another thing. But they have clearly pointed out that this is not what the ADMK leaders and the then government should have done. This is a classic lesson, and they've done a great disservice to the ADMK cadres who were reverently they called Amma. She was a very, very tall leader, and look at how they have mishandled the trust that was placed upon them. So it is a pathetic indictment on the ADMK leadership, the second line of leadership, which was there when CM J Jayalalithaa was there in the hospital.
Okay, pathetic indictment of the AIDMK. Sumanth, do you agree? Now, the point is, again, I'm underlining that, the medical panel, the medical experts do not agree with the judge. This is very, very important to underline, right? And the judge comes to a conclusion that Sasikala somehow stood in the way between Jayalalithaa and medical treatment. And just before you respond, I think you're muted at your end. So if you can unmute yourself and then go ahead.
Yeah, Barkha, I would sort of call this report an absolute travesty. And there are a dozen reasons for us to say that, this report is in many ways bizarre. This whole, by the way, just one correction. The judge does not say Sasikala did stop the medical treatment. He says Sasikala must have, or she would have been the person who was stopped.
It's even that is interpretative. That's an important correction. Yes.
It is
go ahead.
Absolutely incredible. I have read the report and I am simply not able to make out what is the offense that these people are accused of. There is no specific offense which is listed. Look, let's take a few issues which the judge has said. This angiogram matter. In any case, Ms. Jayalalithaa was not being treated by one doctor. She was being treated by a panel of doctors. In a case like this, every doctor would give his inputs on what needs to be done. Then the entire medical team will sit together, weigh the risks versus the reward or the benefits of doing that procedure, and then they will take a decision. This is what happens in every ICU in the country every single day, where patients are treated by a team of doctors. And if this fact that one doctor asked for an angiogram at one point of time, and mind you, this is a rapidly evolving situation. The patient's condition today and the patient's condition few hours later are not the same. To say that the angiogram should have been done, should have saved her life, what about all the doctors in Apollo who decided that the risks of doing an angiogram in a person with a vegetation in the heart was too high and therefore it should not have been done? I mean, it's absolutely incredible that when you have a court-appointed team from the All India Institute of Medical Sciences giving a clean chit to, as far as the medical treatment is concerned, on what basis is this judge questioning the care that was provided?
Then so what do you think is the motive? Sumanth, hang on. What do you think is the motive?
I don't want to speculate, Barkha, but definitely there is an element of wanting to keep the pot boiling as far as the present government is concerned. Vijayabaskar and Radhakrishnan, the health minister and the health secretary, who are they to decide whether she should be taken abroad or not? And it's absolutely incredible. I mean, is that a decision to take the chief minister of a state abroad for treatment? Is it a decision to be taken by the health secretary of the state? You know, it is absolutely incredible the kind of, and the two doctors who have been, virtually indicted, Dr. Babu Abraham and Dr. YVC Reddy, are both extremely eminent doctors. And again, the cardiologist is accused of ignoring the heart. I mean, on what basis? The medical team doesn't tell you that
well,
they ignored it.
let
How is the judge competent to say all this? Please tell me that. On
me
what evidence does he say this?
let me bring in the others before Mr. Saravanan responds to some of these points. Shabbir, you've been tracking this story for a long time, and the part that seemed really political in the report to me is how much time the report spends on talking about OPS's hurry to become chief minister. Now, OPS's hurry to become chief minister actually has nothing to do with how Jayalalithaa died, unless there's a kind of scurrilous suggestion there that somehow Jayalalithaa did not die from natural causes. I mean, there's such a salacious sort of innuendo implicit in some of these comments that are there in the report of the Arumughaswamy Commission, Shabbir. So go ahead with your thoughts. How is it relevant whether Mr. OPS was ready to step into the chief minister's chair or not? What does that have to do with how Jayalalithaa died?
Well, Barkha, what I think about this report is that this is a tailor-made report for a tailor-made narrative. So that's what I think about this report, because somebody like Sumanth said, that someone wants the pot boiling, and the report provides all the ammunition for that. And that is something that one can see if you read this report. Basically, this report has a lot of it has made a lot of insinuations based on nothing, or based on unreliable facts, or like unreliable data. Like, for example, there is a statement that has been made by Krishna Priya, who is daughter of Ilavarsi, who is also a relative of VK Sasikala. She says that Sasikala was thrown out of Poet's Garden because there was an article in Tehelka which said that Sasikala's family was plotting against J Jayalalithaa. And later on in this particular report, the judge cherry picks that one particular statement, one particular report, and he also cherry picks one particular statement saying that all was not well between VK Sasikala and J Jayalalithaa after they patched up. So there was some kind of attempt to find some sort of conspiracy. In this report, it says that there is, he is finding fault with VK Sasikala, former Health Minister C Vijayabaskar, Health Secretary J Radhakrishnan. But what exactly is their fault? That is something that the report does not explain. There is no conclusive evidence. The entire report lacks evidence. The entire report lacks some sort of, even if we agree that there was some kind of conspiracy. In fact, there were a lot of rumors, there were a lot of conspiracies that were doing rounds during J Jayalalitha's hospitalization, even after her death. But this report, only talks about 3 or 4 instances where AIADMK leaders have come up with those kind of rumors. For example, PH Pandian came up with a rumor saying that Jayalalithaa was administered slow poison by VK Sasikala, and that has been clarified in this report, because the test results, the blood test results of J Jayalalithaa does not mention anything about that. There was one more leader who said that Jayalalithaa was beaten by someone at the Poet's Garden residence with a wooden log, and she fell from the staircase. The leader, the AIADM, he is a senior AIADMK leader, but he does not have any kind of proof to back his claims, and that conspiracy has been, that speculation has been
so
put to an
basically,
end
you're saying
by
the
this
report
report.
is full. Shabbir, you're basically saying the report is full of innuendos. You've called it tailor-made. I can see Deepa Jayakumar, Jayalalitha's niece, who after a long, by the way, legal battle got control of her post-garden bungalow, is with us. We'll come to you in a moment, ma'am. I just want Mr. Saravanan to respond briefly. Sumanth and Shabbir have both kind of rubbished the credibility of this report, and I'm sure you'll have a comment to make before I go to Anurag and Deepa. So go ahead, Mr. Saravanan.
Yeah. See, they say it's a tailor-made report. Let us not forget that this commission of inquiry was constituted by the then ADMK government. Incidentally, the report was tabled when the DMK has come into power in the last 1 year. Probably the only reason why there was delay in final report of this report coming is because of Mr. O. Paneerselvam. And of course, the stay in the Supreme Court 8 times he did not attend the summons. He did not listen to the summons of the commission, and he did not appear. And the question is, if there was a transparent data of what happened to Selvi J Jayalalithaa during the hospital visit, all of them are responsible. We cannot pinpoint this as a health minister. he is responsible. That is why I quoted the example of Mr. M.G. Ramachandran. When he was there, the data was given by the state health department. The bulletins were released by them.
So what
there was some credibility.
What do you think is the gap? You're saying that the Commission of Inquiry was set up when the AIDMK was in power. That doesn't necessarily prove that what the Commission of Inquiry has built its argument on is credible. Are you personally convinced of the argument made in the reports, Mr. Saravanan?
See, it's not about personally I'm convinced or I'm not convinced. This investigation has gone on for almost more than 3 years, and they have come out with a report, and it's up to the public. That is why it has been tabled in the assembly, so that the public, it will get disseminated in the public. See, the AIDMK, which is now standing exposed, again the question would be, why nobody is reacting to this? They should challenge this report. If they think that their indictment is wrong, they should go ahead and challenge this. Why none of them have come forward for doing that? The government will look at it. Government will look at it and see what best they can do. They are consulting legal experts. They will plan the next course of action. It is one of our core promises that we will try to unearth what is the mystery behind the death of Selvi J Jayalalithaa. At least he has narrated. He has come out with one important clue that Selvi J Jayalalithaa did not die on February 5th. It was actually one day prior.
But that in itself, many hospitals delay the announcement of the death of public figures. This we have seen happen. This part of the report I find actually quite plausible. But hang on, Sumanth. Anurag hasn't spoken. Let me bring in Anurag. Anurag, go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you for having me on the show, Barkha. Barkha, I don't want to kind of start on a typical debate fashion, because it is more of a qualitative argument that we are having here. But I can't stop myself from countering Mr. Saravaman's claim. There are 3 things, Barkha, that I'm really surprised. He says there is no data or there is no structured data on what happened to Jayalalithaa in terms of the medical protocols. Apollo Hospital, if I'm not wrong, has submitted reports in 2 brief cases. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, it's very easy and convenient for the government of the day to say that the appointment of Mr. Arumughaswamy happened by the then AIADMK government. But where was AIADMK after the death of Jayalalithaa? It was remote controlled from Delhi. And everyone who is following Tamil Nadu politics will know the permissions and the protocols were taken off from Delhi and signed off from Delhi. So where is this narrative of being an independent government or led by AIADMK? I often say this in these media channels, Barkha, that there was no AIADMK after the death of Jayalalithaa. And why are the contours of this report, if you see, typically after every paragraph, after every page, points towards one personality, that is Sasikala. So we need to also introspect on the political stature of Sasikala and what Sasikala brings to the table in terms of, influencing the Tamil politics. That's where I think the key lies, and that's where all the noises.
What do you see still as a role in influencing politics, Anurag?
Well, I see, look, Jayalalithaa, after the death of Jayalalithaa, AIDMK broke into 2 pieces. But after the stellar victory of, DMK into this Tamil politics, but still AIDMK got 75 seats, even in such a big disarray and such a big disenchantment amongst the cadre. But what they feel is they lacked one tall leader. Now Sasikala had this face of Chinnamma, she can galvanize a lot of other voters. The difference of 5-6% can be there with Sasikala heading, the party, or maybe coming and pitching in together with EPS.
I mean, she did try and take control of the party. That attempt failed.
But that can always come back. She can always make a comeback. We still, discussing her as one of the tallest leaders in Tamil Nadu, and that's exactly why. If the point is, if we are trying to attack on her and then we are taking the space in an assembly to discuss her, that itself tells the importance Sasikala brings to the table.
I am not sure that Sasikala has any identity authentically. Oops, Sumanth, hang on. Other than as the closest aide of Jayalalithaa. But Sumanth, you were wanting to interject there, so go ahead briefly, and then I'll come to Shabbir. Yes.
Yeah, very, very briefly. Mrs. Sasikala has had, though not directly, associated with the AMMK party. They've had 3 elections and they have come off extremely poorly in all of them. To call her a political force today in Tamil Nadu is stretching it enormously. And certainly, as far as the main political parties are concerned, even people are even doubting whether they need to have an alliance with her, what value she brings to the table. So I don't think that she is a political force. Second, to counter Mr. Saravanan, almost all except Mrs. Sasikala, whom I do not know whether she is planning to challenge this, almost all the others who have been against whom charges are made in this report are planning to challenge this, possibly legally, after perhaps writing to the government first and expressing their dissent. Last point, this time of death. Barkha, this is incredible. A person collapses on the 4th of December 2016 at 3:50 p.m. They have to give her CPR. CPR is carried out for an hour and a half to 2 hours. Then they decide to do a sternotomy. Then they decide to put her on ECMO. And you can't announce, once you put somebody on ECMO, you have to give it at least a few hours to say whether there has been any benefit or no benefit. How can you, this argument that the judge makes is saying that, the nephew said that the ceremony, the titi for performing the rites is calculated using the 4th as the date versus the medical experts who have certified her dead at a particular time. It doesn't get more incredible than that.
Okay, Mr. Saravanan, and then I'll come to Shabbir. Here's the point. Shabbir made some of these points, but for those of us who are old enough, we remember that there were these kind of, even coverage but mostly rumors about a falling out between Jayalalithaa and Sasikala. There were all kinds of talks that just before Jayalalithaa was taken to hospital, the two women had a fight. Now, the problem is that, what we can speculate privately in private conversation, but what actually goes into a judicial probe are two very, very different things. You have to acknowledge that. Now, I come back to the point that the judge, or the former judge in this case, seems to have reached his conclusion, a speculative kind of conclusion about Sasikala, based on an old report in Tehelka, which never got substantiated, right? So I just want you to respond to everything you've heard so far, and then we'll bring Shabbir, and hopefully Deepa will be able to join us. Go ahead, Saravanan.
See, that's what. See, when we say this is a commission of inquiry report, it is a broad-based fact-finding commission. It does not adhere to strict rules of evidence or any other rule. It's just equity based. They just want to arrive at the truth, and that is why I said
it's headed by a judge.
Yes. That is what the commission, the rules. They don't follow strict rules of evidence in commission of inquiry. That is why he had said, if they wish so, this is my finding. If they wish so, let them go ahead with a criminal probe or something else. So that is why I said the government is cautious. They want to study this report. They want to look at all the avenues. And definitely, see, we have seen all this, Barkha. The government does not want to dwell on the death of CM J Jayalalithaa. This is not our cup of tea to keep the pot boiling or anything. It is entirely the doing of the ADMK party. We are in a much better position. We don't want that. We are not in that political level. The kind of accomplishments we have made. I think we can go ahead and meet the public on the strength of those.
I think that's an interesting point, and I want to take that to Shabbir and take it back to Anurag then. I think there's a fair point in what Saravanan says. Actually, the sort of decimation of the AIDMK in the post-Jayalalithaa era, and here I'll have to disagree with Anurag in his description of Sasikala as a significant political force. If she had to be a significant political force, you would have seen a sympathy wave in the aftermath of Jayalalitha's death, and the AIDMK was never actually able to pick that up. So what is at stake here for the DMK, Shabbir? And do you really think they'll go all guns blazing on this report, or will they be also quite tempered in their response? Shabbir?
See, AIAD, as far as the DMK is concerned, they are going to utilize the contents of this report because it still keeps the pot boiling. Now the report has, further advanced all the kind of, theories and rumors and all of it, because some of them have put to rest, but it has raised new questions. It has raised new doubts in the minds of people. Opinion is divided even after a judicial probe into this matter. So now the DMK will use this, and as far as the DMK is concerned, what I feel is that they require AIADMK as an opposition, but not as a strong opposition. As the DMK wants AIADMK to be divided, and that is good for the DMK. while Saravanan can still say that they are going to go to the people and seek votes, but the fact of the matter is AIADMK is still a strong opposition as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned, though they are now being managed by the BJP. They are being like all along. They have been, after the demise of their leader Jayalalithaa, the entire party structure is being managed by an outside force. So that is something that we have to agree here, because both these leaders, no matter what they decide, even if EPS decides something or OPS decides something, ultimately, the decisions are taken by the BJP, and we will have to wait and see what the BJP wants eventually before the 2024 elections, because that being a key election, the BJP would want a united AIADMK. There was an attempt by the BJP to unite all these leaders together, but EPS did not agree to that. Now, ahead of 2024, there will be another attempt. So just now, my simple observation in this entire matter, EPS has become the interim general secretary of the party, but he has not been recognized by the BJP. How many times EPS visited Delhi? How many times he wanted to meet the Prime Minister, but he was not given an appointment, and there was not even a message from the Prime Minister congratulating him for becoming the interim general secretary of the party. So there is some amount of meddling of affairs as far as the AIADMK.
I think that's a very important point to remind us the larger politics. Now, I can see Deepa Jayakumar, she's been struggling to actually join our program, through her phone. It's not having great technological luck there, but let's at least try and get a comment from Jayalalitha's niece. As I said, she had to fight a protracted legal battle to take control of the bungalow at Post Garden, which the AIADMK at that time had wanted to, in fact, convert into a memorial. And she won that battle. You can see pictures of her and her brother there at that bungalow. Deepa, your responses as a family member to what has been suggested of Sasikala's role, what would you like to say, ma'am? Are you able to hear us? Are you able to hear us, ma'am? Okay, no joy there. Thank you, Deepa, for trying to join Connect. Sorry, I don't know what's happening with your line today. Let me bring in Anurag. Anurag, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I just want to clarify here, Barkha. When I said about the political stature of Sasikala, I did not mean that she's of the level of Jayalalithaa in terms of attracting political admiration from the voters or people. No, she was a political mastermind or a political manager. What we need in Tamil Nadu politics, or even South India politics for that matter, because I worked with 3 chief ministers in the past, is money, muscle, media, and a control system that works behind the face. She was one of them. She knew the access to funds, she knew access to resources, and that's why she was very formidable. Nevertheless, we can have disagreements, but one narrative that always I felt very disturbing in this whole story, Barkha, is that why can't judges be wrong? What is that the judges has to be always sacrosanct, whatever they say has to be right? And what is the authority of one particular judge to self-certify him of its credibility, when Apollo Hospital themselves went to the Supreme Court challenging the probe that they don't have confidence on this particular judge, and they wanted this panel to be changed? And what is the credibility that this judge will not go after the management of the Apollo Hospital? Pratap C. Reddy, chairman, is not involved in the medical protocols, and the judge is claiming that the medical protocols were not followed. That was the last thing. And if a judge can also speak about the medical protocols, and I think that will be the last thing after they started running the sports.
And again, I have to underline that the actual medical experts had argued otherwise. Now, I've got to close. Yes. Let me give Sumanth a quick comment before I give Mr. Saravanan the last word. Sumanth, go ahead. I think Shabbir explained the politics really well, and a lot of decisions on what the future of the AIADMK is are going to be stitched up in Delhi. This report, where is it going to go?
This report has very little political significance anymore. I think the expectation at that time was that Sasikala would emerge as a political force, and this report would be somehow used as a sword of Damocles over her. Now that has not happened, this report has extremely limited value. And even if the government is initiating any action or any further inquiry into this, it is also likely to go nowhere in the long run. And I don't think the government will be that unwise to go forward with a foolhardy action, especially because most of the those who have been named are planning to challenge this report and the veracity of the report itself and the conclusions that it has made. So I don't see this report having any more political significance. But what the government does is going to be interesting. If they feel that they want to drag this on endlessly, then they can, but I don't think it's going to benefit the DMK either. And they could end up with egg on their face if the court strikes down a lot of these conclusions.
Shabbir, did I see you trying to jump in with a point before I give Saravanan the last word? Do you agree with Sumanth and Anurag that, if there will be people in this report who could sue? They could say this is defamatory. Certainly Apollo could, given the thumbs up that they have from the AIMS experts. Do you agree with everybody other than, I guess, Mr. Saravanan, that this report is kind of a non-starter?
Well, that's right. I agree with Sumanth, because this report will be challenged, and it has to be challenged, because the judge cannot have a last say on medical matters, because I feel that he has blatantly rejected the AIMS panel report, and the AIMS panel was constituted by the Supreme Court. It was a Supreme Court order, and they have gone into the details of the treatment that was given to Jayalalithaa, and they have submitted their report, and they concur with the line of treatment that was given to her. And the judge says that they have simply agreed to what the Apollo has done, and he has completely rejected. On medical matters, the judge cannot have a say, and even if the judge has a say, then it has to be backed by a medical expert, or it has to be backed medically. And I see that this report does not have that, and that's a major flaw as far as this report is concerned.
Okay, Mr. Saravanan, we'll give you the last word, since it's 3 versus 1 in terms of what the significance of this report is. Go ahead.
Yeah. See, it's one of our poll promises that we will unearth the mystery behind the death of VK Jayalalithaa. Since this commission was already doing its investigation, we did not do anything else. We allowed this commission to continue, and it has given its report. And it's purely a legal issue now, more than anything else, because there has to be a full stop to the death of a leader. And I think we'll have to see where it goes and how.
Will the DMK government pursue it legally further?
No, that's what it is left to the legal expert. That's what I told you. It's purely now a legal issue, not a political issue or anything. We are happy that we were able to fulfill one of the promises we made, and it is entirely because of the ADMK leadership. They're clamoring for power that it has become such a controversy.
Leaving it here, A. Saravanan, Shabbir, Anurag, and Sumanth, always a pleasure. To our audience, have a great weekend, have a great Diwali, and see you again soon. Take care. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.